I start the makeup and first clean the face of the model with micellar water. I always cleanse along the massage lines. Then I will use the toner to wash off the micellar water. Always remember to do this. Wash off the micellar water with water or toner. I moisturize the model's skin with moisturizer from Charlotte Tilbury and take a spatula and a small amount of a moisturizer cream, and only after that I apply it on the face. Always moisturize your lips before applying makeup, and my model already has a balm applied. But don't forget about this habit because the lips need to be prepared for makeup as well as the face. The area around the eyes and the eyelid, I will use the foundation from Misha in shade 23. I will start with doing eye makeup, so I need to prepare the eyelid for applying the product. I apply to the entire eyelid and also to the lower one. If there is a lot of product on the face, then I blend it with my finger or sponge and evenly applied everything. Since I will be shading the lower eyelid, it will be convenient for me to apply it to the lower part of the face now. Misha foundation is very light and it will be as a base, but if I need to cover bruises and shades that I do not like, then I will use a corrector. It is very suitable for shading because it is elastic texture, helps to blend any texture and make shading more delicate. On the eyelid, I will use Charlotte Tilbury powder in medium shade. I pick up a small amount on the brush and apply it in a thin layer. I need to keep the moisture on my face, but also remove excess moisture. So I use a small amount of powder. Today I will use pencil and watercolor in makeup. Watercolor is one of the techniques that allows you to build a shape and to do makeup more vivid. I will use a milky shade, and to apply it, it can be difficult since it is more complicated to apply than creamy eyeshadow or tints, which are popular these days. The difficulty is that it has to be constantly moistened. If the tint and creamy shadows are already a finished product, then the watercolor has to be mixed with water to get the texture that will be well applied to the eyes. I will use setting spray. You can also use water or a fixing spray. The main thing is that there is water in the texture. I spray on the cap and take a flat brush and dip the brush in water. And take watercolor and be sure to check everything with my hand. The rule is for using watercolor is that it should not be dry and should not have a lot of moisture on the brush. but should look like the tint that we are used to using. I apply on the entire eyelid up to the crease of the eyelid. I apply watercolor on the anatomical structure of the eye. The makeup will be graphic as graphics are back in style again. And so I won't be left behind. And so do some graphic makeup with shading and clarity. This makeup is very suitable for my today's model. I make an elongated shape and apply everything along the crease of the eyelid. If you don't see the crease of the eyelid, press here with the brush and you will understand where the crease is. No need to try to make everything clear the first time. Then you can finish everything with shading with shadows or a pencil. The way I will do it today, the main thing is to apply evenly on the eyelid. I extend the upper lash line as if I were doing an eyeliner and connect the crease with the eyeliner. Ask the model not to open her eyes until I fix everything with dry shadows. I will set the makeup with Anastasia shadows in a light, milky shade. I take a lot of product on the brush, shake it off, and apply it to the eyelid. Why did I use watercolor spatula? Because I need to achieve a dense shade so that the color of the eyelid doesn't interfere with my application of makeup. I smoothed and fixed everything and applied it tightly. Makeup will be in matte shades. Now it's done. I'm starting to do makeup and will be using a blue pencil from the ColourPop brand. First, I start from the lower eyelid. This is how I want my main line to go. I extend its lower eyelid, but slightly raise it diagonally, not just like this, but diagonally so that the eye is maximally raised up. I made a saturated color, and then with a flat brush, choose a brush with a very thin edge. Put the brush here and stretch towards the temple. What I do not need can be wiped a little like this. I make a single shadow with the main line. Shading will go from this line, and shading should be one from the lower eyelid to the main line. I shade the borders Don't drag all the color, but just the borders to shade. And I complete the shape with a soft shading. Where the shape is the deepest, there will be a deepest color. Where the shape ends, there should be softness of shading. I apply thickly to the darkest part and then lightly blend. To do shading, the pencil and brush have to be held as if we were putting them on the eyelid. And then a light shading. Then, to build the shape, I will have an interesting eyeliner on the movable eyelid. But since the shape we have is like a cat's eye shape, I accordingly will raise this eyeliner a little bit. I start from the natural crease and introduce it into the natural crease of the eye, which is formed by nature. And I release a line from it and connect it to the main line. When you want to make some kind of graphics, always use the brush as an auxiliary tool that you can take and stretch, and you are all set. The stretch of a brush is easier to stretch than a pencil that is brightly applied. When you do the shape, always do it on the open eyelid, because you will see how the makeup looks when the eye is open. It is not so important for us when the eye is closed than when it is open. Because if there are any interesting shapes of the eye, then you will want to emphasize this one way or another. Or if the model has some problems, for example, when you are doing salon makeup with features of the model's eyes, or these are age-related eyes, in order to remove or tighten something, it is better to do a shape on an open eye and then finish it closed. First, I do it from the crease. If it's a little too high, this eye is a little bit higher, so I start doing lower and get into the natural crease. And then connect to the main line. I make such a movement as if I'm drawing a wave. Although nature and everything is natural, therefore try to observe parallelism in makeup. If here I start from the natural crease of the model's eyebrow has a wave, and I seem to make a mirror direction as it were, away from below. I put it up and I got a shape. Then we emphasize our line. You first make the direction and then emphasize it to make the shading. We made a contrast and then I create in the deepest part where there is a slight dip in shadow and penumbra. But as soon as the flow turns into a horizontal line from a high point, we set a horizontal line. This part, which has a recess, I will make a shadow. And what goes already beyond the horizontal, I will make a shade. We will have shadows only in depth, not to overdo it. I'm shading. The makeup will be very bright and interesting. I still stick to the salon shape. Everything within the model's eyes. Then I emphasize the depth on the lower eyelid. Connect, stretch, and blend. I am shading a little bit here. I emphasize the shape so that there is a contrast. I highlight it. I'm doing a shading. I blend very gently. Now the lower eyelid. The most important thing is such makeup you have to remember where your line ends, where the shading will end, just as softly and gently. Do not put the shadow very far, because it will look childish. Where the line ends, the shading also completes its movement. Now I will work with eyeshadows and I will use the palette from Anastasia. And I will use these two shades, light and grayish. First, I apply a light shade to make it easier for me to blend. I blend everything into the eyelid. There was a foundation here, then it's easier for me to shade and it turns out a pure shade than if there was nothing. I like to work at the same with the eyelid. I immediately put everything on the second eye. When you're working on the details, I suggest you to use a cotton pad on your hand so you can touch the face and then continue working. I use a light shade and apply it to the inner corner of the eye and lighten the shape. Just a little bit along the crease line. Then I take a grayish shade and do a light shading. And when I get closer to our line, I put the brush in no way. Usually the brush lies on the makeup, but I work with the edge of the brush. So in this case, it is very good to use a flat brushes with a thin edge, or these brushes that you can take and stretch like this. So where I finish, I just tighten the edges and slightly shade. The first touch is in the shadow, and then there is a brooch. But since the model has volume under the eyebrow and in the inner corner of the eye, I can move the brush like this, and I can rotate the brush in the direction of the main line. I don't apply anything to the deepest part where the pencil is intensively applied. There I will have a different shading. And here we shade with such a brush for the effect of a thin tail. I emphasize linearity, soft shading. Always think ahead. If the model has a very small distance to the eyebrow, then you cannot darken the crease of the eyelid in this area. So very gently, I have to emphasize the shadow here. I'm shading here. Step by step, I'm moving to the outer corner of the eye. It is not very convenient to use two brushes at once, because you apply one and you shade with the other. If something is out of bounds, you can wipe it with your finger. There is a little lack of saturation here, and I add it, and I draw everything out with a fluffy brush. I apply it tightly on the transitional color of the pencil and pull the rest onto the shading. I haven't touched the shadow itself yet. At the end of the makeup, you can pat with your finger. There will still be a concealer and foundation. And if you went too far somewhere, you can shade it. We will get a very interesting and bright makeup, but at the same time matte, a little new, because nowadays metallic, chameleon, pearl shades are more popular. But still, the time for matte shadows will come. Matte shades in shading are much more difficult, so be sure to try shading your makeup with matte shades. The deepest shadow, what I left with the pencil, I will apply this fabulous shade. I pat in the deepest part and pull the rest into the shading. So bam, 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 here it is not necessary to shade, but simply print the shade and then make a slight movement to blend it. It is great to have these small and flat brushes as they work for you. By layering, I enhance the color. Since this is where the makeup ends, the most intense and deepest part, where we have depth, there is where the brush fails. No matter what zone we work in, you see the lower eyelid and here you see the brush fails. So it means here will be the deepest part. When the bone is formed or the volume of the color should disappear. I do a light finish and shade. I condense the lowest part and as soon as the volume begins to grow, I shade the remains with a brush. So I need to put a contrast in the base and then shade it a little bit. I am done. Brush, move only 1 millimeter. And here, there should already be a haze. You can always imagine visually as if you did a classic regular makeup and wiped off this element. All the shading will remain with you. So if in ordinary makeup you do what you already have going nowhere, then with graphic makeup you save this effect. With classic makeup, shading on the lower eyelid do not make such a movement. Where that is the end and where that is the beginning, the deepest zone and shading. I put the brush at the base to the bend of the eye. I print it, as the pencil seems to look naked without shadows, and accordingly the creamy texture is preserved and imprinted juicy. Where there is a shadow, there is a very thin shading. I blend with a fluffy brush. I complete the tip as the penumbra had completion on the volumetric part of the eye. So the shadow should strive for volume, but completing it without reaching it. I enhance this effect with the edge of the brush. With the help of the eyeliner from the Inglot brand, number 77, and I adore it. I am extremely pleased with the quality. It will be a charcoal black eyeliner. It is well shaded and stretched. So for now, it's the only one. I put a small amount on my hand, and first with the brush I will build the outer side of the eye, and then I will move towards the direction of the inner eyelid. We look from the falling crease, where the crease begins to break, and make a point and connect it with the makeup shape. When you draw some kind of shape, it is very convenient to stretch and complete the eyeliner with a thin brush with a sharp base to put into our makeup.
Чтобы втушевать именно в наш макияж. Соединяю.
I connect and finish the eyeliner if you extend the guideline of the upper eyelid. A crease forms here, then up to this crease parallel to the direction of our shadow. A dense shadow that I made on the lower eyelid, and this turned out to be our guideline on the eyeliner. This is where the refraction is, and I'm moving along our shape. Filling in the shadow, our deep shadow on the lower eyelid, and this is our guideline. And so I can still thicken the eyeliner. If you suddenly get some kind of crease, then be sure to stretch the eyelid and fill this spot. When you hold or pull on the eyelid, you control the model's blinking and even out the skin so that you have a tight and taut string, and it is very easy to draw a line on. Now I connect everything with the eyelid, since the model has an eye structure that has a volume, and if I emphasize this volume, there will be a small space up to the eyebrow, and I don't want to reduce this space, so I will bring the eyeliner to the iris, and then using the bottom eyeliner, I will finish everything on the mucous membrane of the upper eyelid. I draw a thin eyeliner on the eyelashes. It is best to make some element that open the eyes and see how much I can make it wider. Sometimes on the open eyelid, I do thickness a little like this. When there is already some kind of shadow, then it is even more visible how much more thickness I want to add to the outer corner of the eye. So I can expand this corner of the eye even more and do an eyeliner. I always try not to breathe when I'm making an eyeliner, so I advise you to, since any breathing can ruin everything.
Любое дыхание может скосить.
When two eyes are done, then even more can be compared how much makeup is not enough here. This is where I want to make my eyes wider. If suddenly something is wrong, take a small brush with light shadows and I remove the flows and emphasize again with eyeliner. With the help of eyeliner, I will work on the mucous membrane of the eye, and the pro of gel eyeliner is that it doesn't stick and keeps well. If you have a problem with sticking on the lower eyelid and you want a light stroke on the lower eyelid, then it's better to use gel eyeliners. They came up with gel pencils as a long-lasting for the mucous membrane. But if we compare long-lasting, then of course eyeliner is much stronger. But it turns out very interesting. The eyeliner is very strong on the mucous membrane, but tints, matte lipsticks are much more resistant than the eyeliner as a substrate. If you want to make charcoal black smoky eyes, it is better to use a tint or black lipstick from Jeffree Star or from Lime Crime. It will be more elastic and resistant than if you use an eyeliner. I'm doing the upper eyelid mucosa. Then I let the model rest and blink. Do not bring the eyelid to a wet condition, because like any product, it does not draw anything when it is wet. If the eyes begin to water, it is necessary to wait, dry, and only then to continue.
Продукт закончился. Сначала подсушили, запечатали и дальше работаем.
It turned out a very interesting section of the eyes, and then a little bit makes such an interesting element. And emphasize the mucous membrane of the inner eyelid. Thanks to the model that she can handle all this. Not every client can do this. So be careful with the mucous membrane. It is better to do 1, 2, 3 and rest. 1, 2, 3 and rest. I have a professional model sitting here and she knows all the nuances and what discomfort can be. She knows what to do. This is very convenient for the makeup artist. I stretch the tip of the brush, the tail of the inner eyelid. Further, I refine if there are any flaws with the help of eyeliner. Now I will work on the lashes. I will use the size 20D. First, I use size 10 since the makeup is elongated. So I will glue the eyelashes according to the same principle. I glue eyelashes in size 10 in the middle of the eye. Only 3 pieces. As if for shading eyelashes, somewhere more, somewhere less. Size 20D is suitable for bright makeup when you want to make your makeup saturated or for a portfolio, for an interesting shoot. And we use the classic for clients. The main thing is that when you use such a density of eyelashes, it has to be mucous, because the base is darker, and if it is an bare eyelid, there will be an effect like kinda waves. Next, I make this elongated tail. I will first glue eyelashes in size 13 and then in size 12. The only con of these eyelashes is that the boxes which they lie consistently breaks, but it can be fixed, but there are such cases. The eyelashes are long, it is what we need, but I do not glue them on the last eyelashes, because if this is done, the eye will fail. So take your time and glue one eyelash at a time, and at the same time watch the eye. Since I want to keep the rays, I leave space between them to glue eyelashes. There is in size 12. I will get only 2 eyelashes in size 13. Here the size 10 eyelash looks nice, but it lifts the eye a lot, and I don't want that effect. So I'll take a little to the side. The eyelash in size 10 needs to be redone, and I will stick the eyelash in size 12 further. And I will make the first eyelash in size 10 closer. or rather even an eyelash in size 10, which was here, I will move it. So always look from the side how the eye has changed. I lower the eyelash a little so that they are such a stripe, and it seems as if an arrow is formed. When you work with a client, be sure to use disposable brushes not only for hygiene purposes, but for the client's peace of mind. But the problem is that when we do more creative work, since the brush is included, applies everything perfectly. No brush will apply when working with models are better, of course, the included brushes. But let me remind you that there are enough preservatives in mascara to kill all microbes. If I already use brushes on the model, I give it a rest. Maybe I got carried away. I lower the first eyelashes so that they are lower. And here I will make the arrangement. Now it's perfect. Luxe Visage is the best mascara ever. I love it and I don't want to change it. This is a Belarus brand, if anyone doesn't know. I'm going to put some shade on the inner corner of the eye to make it sparkle, and I really love the Naked palette. For these purposes, I take a small amount of the product, shake it off, and as if like a strip, apply it to the inner eyelid. I'm using a bit of pinkish shade like this. In the shape of our makeup. When you want to add a glow to the face to make it beautiful and juicy shine, then I really like to use the base from Prism FX. It has a strange blue violet tint. You might think where on the face you can use it, but I was pleasantly surprised that it makes the face more fresh, radiant, and beautiful. The model has good skin, never look at any rash. It is all easy to cover, but the skin condition is very good. You can see how bright the product is in color. I will be using Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I really love this product. It has very light coverage and can be layered for perfect coverage. I apply everything with a sponge. The shade is called Vanilla.
Оттеночек ванила.
I apply the product all over the face.
По нашему личику.
I apply the foundation with the base of the sponge and remove everything that is not needed with the other side. I definitely put the product on the neck. Look, there is only one layer, but how beautiful! It covered everything, even rashes. But at the same time, the coverage is very light. Also, the product is applied to the ears and again to the neck. Do not forget about this. I will use the brand Too Faced Born This Way corrector in light beige, and first I apply it on my hand. And with a sponge, I apply everything on the triangle part of the face, on the beauty triangle. I bring closer to the makeup, but shading with a fluffy brush and connect the makeup with the eyelid.
И соединяем макияж с нашим веком.
If there are some small flows from the shadows, then if there are a little bit of them, then it's okay. The foundation will cover everything. But if you work with a very bright color, then be sure to check before applying the toner. Wipe the face with a toner so that there are no unexpected surprises later. I shade everything with a fluffy brush. Where it is needed, I apply the second layer.
Слоем уплотняем.
I got a little bit of the product on the hair. It's okay. I'll take the toner and wipe everything. I'm starting to work with eyebrows, and I really like to use this gel from the Anastasia brand. It fixes the eyebrows gorgeously, and if you want to completely change the shape of the eyebrows, then comb them against the hair growth and then style the eyebrow as you like. I want to comb the hair up, but the direction will still go in the direction of the eyebrow.
Дальше по форме бровки.
This is where I want the hair to have a thicker thickness. First, against hair growth.
Допустим, здесь мне хочется, чтобы было на побольше толщинка была. Сначала против.
Everything is great. I work with eyebrows and the product I use is Anastasia in medium brown shade. And I will add only where there is not enough volume. I want to raise my eyebrow a little bit. So I add a little bit here. And in the corner, and a little bit the tip, and pull it further. Since the makeup is drawn out and the eyebrows are a little lacking, you can finish drawing a little bit. There is a small gap here, and I'm filling it in. I'll take a cotton pad so I can fix my hand. This foundation is very long-lasting and I really like its texture. But despite its dense structure, it still leaves a little light shine. As if it were a life tone.
Подчеркиваем. И хвостик.
I emphasize the angle and tail of the eyebrow. Be careful with the eyebrow tail. If you make a very elongated shape, then the eyebrow tail should be in parallel. Remember how I told you about eyebrows at my classes? The tail of the eyebrow is a parallel of the crease of the eyelid. Since the crease of the eyelid already has such a direction, which means that I pull the eyebrow in that direction. I will apply my favorite highlighter from ColourPop and apply it with such tapping movements with my fingers. Since this product is best applied with fingers, do not try to apply it with a brush. It will not be very beautiful. Applying by hands, that's what you need. I really like the glow in the inner corner. It is pinkish, so I will definitely duplicate it on the highlighter so that they complement each other. When you create some kind of image, then always apply some element here and add a little bit. Depending on the color, work on other details. I add more of this color, and here is more with such an effect.
И таким немножко внедряющим эффектом.
The crease of the eyelid ends here, so I apply this color before it.
До нее я наношу этот цвет.
Excellent. I put a little bit of blue on it.
Наш голубенький цвет.
Next, I add a slightly pinkish color. I put it on a highlighter and also duplicate it with this color. A little bit because we do not need a lot of blue on the highlighter. But as a reflection and as if it's due to makeup, it looks very nice. So I took a small brush to make it like a detail. I apply the product a little bit on the highest part of the eyebrow. Necessarily on the ears, if they are open. I will still work with the chest area, so I do not put the product there yet. But if you know that you will have a chest area, then immediately do what you want. If you want to add a highlighter, then add it. And be sure a little bit on the nose and lips. Getting to face correction, and I will use the brand Kiko. And this is a stick, and this is a sculpt, and this is the perfect shade. If you have never worked with cream textures for face sculpting, so Kiko is the best, and it is the tone that is very difficult to overdo and easy to work with. I use a brush and start with depth and shading. And then a little bit on the elongation of the face. This is a very beautiful color, like a natural shadow. Kiko makes it very cool. It is not a warm or cold shade, but the shade that is necessary, because mostly red shades are most often found for people with dark skin. But since people of Slavic appearance are usually gray, the red shade doesn't suit them. And Kiko is just for girls for Slavic appearance and gives that desired grayish tint. Also, Kiko is a good shade for doing the nose, because when you want to work with the nose, outline it, but don't overdo it, make up this always very cute. I made one side. Never darken the sides of the nose, but only near the flat part of the nose. Here too. the nasal of the nose too, if necessary. For more effect, I add a lighter shade corrector from brand Cyan, shade 1.5. I make a strip, then the dark parts will be even darker, and therefore the nose will be visually sharper, and for greater effect, I lighten this part a little bit. With the help of a sponge, I do shading. My favorite highlighter for such images from the Smashbox brand in collaboration with Vlada. Awesome highlighter, and it fits perfectly with our shades. And I do everything in tapping movements so as not to tighten the sculpt. I apply it. I will apply a little bit of sculpt. I don't want to over apply the makeup because I honestly do not like all these stripes when I have such bright makeup and stripes on my face. So with a light shade of bronzer, I add tint and fix and apply a creamy texture so that it holds well. I will definitely put in on my neck. Remember, always in fixing makeup is carried out due to dry texture. Even if you apply highlighter, apply blush or sculpt, it already fixes your tone. If somewhere the foundation is unevenly applied, such moments as a pimple, then you can fix it with your finger from above. It is very good to work with tapping movements. I use a little bit of blush. I use the palette from Hourglass. I shake everything off the brush. I emphasize the sides of the nose a little. Now I'm working on the lips, and I'll be using the brown shade from ColourPop. I didn't set the foundation in the middle of the face, so I do a light tapping like this and then apply powder later to set the product. I do a horizontal upper lip. I really like the shades in the ColourPop brand, and the price is insanely affordable. So if you want 1,001 shades and good quality, you can try to work with this brand. Using a brush, I even out the shade.
Выравниваю оттеночек.
The model has perfect lips, so perfect that I even jealous. Very beautiful.
Ведьма свои. Очень круто.
Before I start working on the lips, I will set everything with Charlotte Tilbury brand powder, setting the center of the face in a very thin layer, just here.
Ту часть, которая в центре.
I will use Lime Crime Matte Lipstick. From Matte Lipsticks, I really love the Lime Crime brand. Jeffree Star, Dose of Color, Kaylin. These lipsticks are perfect for shading the shape of eye makeup and are suitable for lips. I put lipstick on the lips. In makeup, the main shade was a cold tone. Then on the lips, I use a slightly warm color so that there is a game of warm and cold. Because an interesting game is obtained when both warm and cold shades are used in makeup. Now I will work with the chest area. And remember, if the chest area is open, it needs to have foundation too. When the makeup is done very beautiful, everything is clean, gorgeous. Then the skin on the chest area will look not nice if there is no product on it. So I use Misha foundation. The only thing is that the sponge will take a little bit longer. So I will take my favorite brush. I mix Danessa Merrick's into foundation. The downside of Danessa Merrick's is that it always dries, always. A light reflecting base, and with a large brush, I apply everything and mix in number 23 a little.
Чуть-чуть подмешаю 23 номера.
I took the Misha foundation number 25, but here in the middle I need a lighter shade. I apply the product under accessories too. In this case, these brushes are very convenient because you can apply with one movement to the entire part of the body.
Прорабатываете всю часть тела.
If there are any rashes on the skin, just apply a little more. If this is a bride or a client whose back is open, be sure to apply the product there as well. But for the shot, it is enough for us to do shading. Highlighters from ColourPop, which are on the face of the model, I now apply here on the exposed zones. A little bit you can shade the exposed zones. On the first lesson that you have as a light smoky bonus, I tell you in detail about the chest area, about working with the chest area. So we apply the product here. I make sure to use the shade that was on the face of the model. On the bones, shoulder, chest area. This is how my makeup turned out, with a gorgeous graphic eyeliner, which is very trendy nowadays. So, try to experiment, and see you soon, folks. Thank you. But this lesson is not over yet. I'm starting to transfer this makeup into a creative look. To transform the look, I needed a ColourPop pencil and NYX lipstick to make the lips more saturated and dark. My advice to you, if you want to learn how to make red lipsticks, use red lipsticks because some have difficulties in shaping, some have difficulties in contrasting, beautiful, even, and juicy. Then the best practice is to apply a black pencil on the lips, so that it is beautiful, rich, and clear. If lipstick has come out somewhere since dark lipstick, like a black pencil, if you practice more noticeable than some kind of beige pencil, then the best way is to take a flat brush and even out the shape of the lips with a flat brush. To make the transformation of the image, I decided to continue the theme of tattoos and make the chest area using fake tattoos. To do this, we need a lot of tattoos. Be sure to have scissors, cotton pads to wet the tattoos, and water. First, I cut out all the small details that can interfere with us. If we don't need this flower, then it's better to cut it out, because I will first make large elements and then decorate with small ones. First, I remove the protective film. Here, the base is more sticky, so we try not to touch it here. We wet the opposite side. Since there are products on the model, so as not to stain and wipe off everything, so I like to do everything aside.
Не испачкать, да, и не стереть, поэтому я люблю делать это где-то в стороночке.
When you have dampened the main part, I first apply as a continuation a little bit to make it interesting. So at an angle, and then we wet the rest of the part.
Остальную часть промакиваем.
I'm sure my model already wants a new tattoo. She will come home and say, "Guys, I got a new tattoo." Look in pieces to see if all the parts have come unstuck. And if they haven't come off somewhere, then press a couple more times like this. Glue to the body.
Тут чуть-чуть не хватает водички. Тут. Красота. Красота.
It is so beautiful. You see, there is not enough volume here. Then later I will paste something small here.
Потом сюда что-нибудь маленькое наклеим.
I'm going to start designing. Why is it necessary to immediately peel off the protective film? I often had that situation. When moistened, the entire tattoo sticks to the film, and that's it. It turns out the tattoo will be spoiled, but everything can be fixed. You can dry this paper, and then you can glue the tattoo back. But it will take time, of course. And time is very valuable to us. Time is money. If you don't have makeup on, then you can do it right on the body. But since the model has a highlighter and foundation there, I want to protect a little bit. Of course, you need to arrange makeup. I will use such a branch. I wet it. Wish me luck, guys. It looks better on this eye. In the inner eyelid, due to its volume, it is difficult to do, but anything is possible.